past 4:20 time today. Way past 4:20. When your health sucks, it can only make it worse, right? Sad but true. You lose your health, you lose everything. And I'm trying to hold on to mine right now for various reasons, but I will bring you up to date on some shit that may or may not air here. I don't know. It's like the 19th, I think, today. Next month I'm going in to get 4 hernias taken care of. Not too happy about it. On top of that, I am no longer selling on eBay because I refuse to bend over and, well, let's say I don't like that corporate you-know-what stuck up my you-know-what. So, got to figure out a different way. But, so much for my fucking problems. There's been a lot of things said about a certain place in New Jersey that we used to fondly call Traction Park. It was a fucking water place, or what? I don't know what you call these places, waterways, waterworks, whatever, some kind of an amusement thing up in Vernon Valley, New Jersey called Action Park. All kinds of water rides and things like that, so if you're into that type of thing, that's where you would go, especially in the summer. Bring the kids. Also bring major medical insurance, because when we got there, we were sort of curious why there were so many ambulances lined up and why so many were leaving already. Well, honestly, Action Park is probably the only place on the planet where you can get seriously injured playing miniature golf. Seriously. We did the whole water thing, people crashing into you, people not giving a fuck, people falling on top of you. I think I fucked up my neck. Saw a lot of weird shit. That basically made me never want to go back there. Like, they had this thing where basically they would try to simulate this huge big pool where they try to stimulate waves coming in from the ocean. Well, city people aren't really fucking good swimmers anyway, so they were basically lifeguards jumping in and pulling people out of this tidal wave situation. Another thing I saw was they had this huge fucking slide where you basically sat on some kind of device made of plastic mat, raft, or whatever, and slid down and slammed into this water. Well, when I was watching this shit, and I had no inclination to go on this, somebody's thing turned around and they went down face forward through the whole, I don't know, 200 friggin' feet drop through the whole thing. So yeah, they had a swimming hole that wasn't regulated where you swung out on a tire and dropped on top of other swimmers and fucked them up. So, all in all, a pretty negligent fucking place, and people were really seriously injured, and I believe there was 2 or 3 deaths associated with the place. I didn't realize how bad it was until going back into my mechanic days. We had these guys we called wagon jobbers, which would basically set up something in your work area with parts that they carried, and you wouldn't lay out for them. You would pay for them as you sold them. Well, this one guy, Frank, I hadn't seen in a while. I needed some of his stuff, and about a month overdue, he comes hobbling in with his foot all bandaged up, and it seems that he was up at Action Park and got out of a ride, and somebody slammed into him, and a bolt went through his ankle and out the other side. So yeah, very strange, fucked up place. And I think HBO did a documentary on it. I don't know. I don't get cable. I don't get anything, so I don't know. But that wasn't the only messed up place in good old New Jersey. Then you wonder why I left. There was a lot of really weird, fucked up shit going on down there, especially at the north end of the place, because there was another place called Jungle Habitat, which was like a drive-through safari where they had lions and baboons and other animals just roaming around, where you could just drive through and keep your windows up and hope nothing happened. Well, a bunch of us cut school, and we decided to drive through there. Now, rather than take my car, which was basically a 1972 powder blue 4-door Dodge Dart, which, there's reasons for having a car that nondescript when you do the shit that I do. Nobody pulls it over. But anyway, we took this fellow student, Dwight's barely running Pontiac Ballbuster. So we're driving through this thing, and the first thing that happens is we go through the baboon paddock or whatever it is, and a baboon hops on the hood of the car and ain't going to get off. Well, Dwight brilliantly turns on his windshield wipers, thinking he can scare it off, and all this thing did was reach down and bend them, fucking twist them into fucking pretzels and leave them there, then hops off the fucking hood of the car. Well, you don't think things could get any worse? Well, they did, because we pulled into where, you're going through this thing, you're following these things, and all of a sudden, this piece of shit that we're driving sputters out and dies in the middle of where the lions are. Well, the lions are coming close to the car. Okay. Except that somebody's back window was maybe open that much. And one of the lionesses goes like this with her claws and rips the fucking window out. Now it's like, okay, blow the fucking horn. We're fucked. We're scared shitless. We're pissing ourselves. The Ranger Jeep comes in, chases off the lions. Basically had to tow us out of there, which was pretty fucked up. But yeah, that was, I believe it was jungle habitat, and the big mystery with that is it was abandoned. Whoever owned it was, don't forget, this was during the 80s recession. There were a lot of this shit going on, so a lot of these things that were once viable weren't anymore. So there was a big story about they found a lot of dead animal skeletons in there, and the place was, closed up, because I remember going up there for some reason to do something and driving by the gateway, which was all crumbling and shit, it was like something out of, Jurassic Park, jungle habitat, letters falling off and shit. So yeah, that was pretty fucked up. Also, if we're talking about fucked up, if you went beyond that, see, there was like a triangle there. You could basically make a circle and go through New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania in one little fucking shot there. So the other thing was, the big attraction up in New York was Greenwood Lake. Plenty of places for drinking, because the drinking age up there was 18 and the drinking age in New Jersey was 21. And of course, to lure unsuspecting drunken assholes like myself up there for their overpriced drinks was, they would run ads on the drive-ins like, Mother's, make it to Mother's. We make the strongest drinks in town. And another place I believe was called Sterling or Sterling's Hideaway or something, where they had slides to take you between the floors where the bands were playing. This was like a 3-floor place, and you could slide, okay, you get the drift. Looks really great on screen. But you had to drive Route 23 all the way up. Route 23 had circles then. We had to roop and go up, some really weirdly navigated roads up into Greenwood Lake. Well, of course, the place you want to go to is Mother's, because they supposedly make the strongest drinks in town. No, they really don't. Plus, a drink, I think a Michelob was maybe $1.50 then, as opposed to whatever it was in regular bar, and a shot or a cocktail or a mixed drink was like $3 or $4. So, yeah, you were limited to what you could spend, and what we were doing was basically we were drinking Michelobs and lighting shots of Seagram 7 on fire and tossing them fucking down. Well, one guy dropped his, it dropped behind the bar, landed on a towel, and the towel started burning, which didn't really put us in good stead with the bartenders. So we decided to try other places, most likely Sterling's, because we saw it all on the drive-in screen. Well, yeah, Sterling's did have some loud bands and did have slides between floors, but when drunken fucking people are sliding down slides, they tend to fucking puke. And they don't show that on the wonderful commercial, because it was puddles of fucking puke here and puddles of puke there. At least the night we were there was. So yeah, that wasn't really a cool place to stay. So I'm trying to think of some other places up there. I really don't, because the fucked up part was you drove around this lake and you'd see car wrecks of people who fucking weren't going home. It was that fucking simple. So we would only get so fucking trashed, and we didn't have a designated driver then, because really nobody seemed to give a shit. You get pulled over, you get drunk driving charge, whatever. I don't know what the deal was back then, but I don't remember anybody going away for a long time. I remember a lot of people get fucking killed in accidents or seeing accidents because of what happened. So you'd probably leave there, around, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was an hour away from working your way back down to where you came from, and you'd come out at the very bottom end of where 23 began and started in Verona, New Jersey, and there was a White Castle. And White Castles are open 24 hours. So there you go. You could just wonderfully load up on those greasy slider hamburgers, knowing that, yes, you were going to puke the minute you got home, which most of us did because we completely overindulged and some of us drank sweet drinks. I can't recall any trip back home where somebody didn't wind up puking out the back window of the car, or, you know, all of us have to pull over to take a leak at the same time and the squad car comes up behind us and basically tells us to get the fuck out of there and go home. So, yeah. So that was one attraction. There was other attractions in South Jersey. I'm trying to think of... might have been Six Flags down there because they had a similar jungle habitat type deal where you drove through and it was more contained, more professionally managed if you could do such a thing. But if you drove through the baboon paddock and you had those vinyl roofs that were on a lot of cars back then, prepare to lose them because the baboons would peel the shit off and eat them. I also think that might have been the site of a really tragic accident in a haunted house thing where it caught fire and there was no way to get out and a lot of people got killed. So I think they had enacted laws or, you know, something's in effect where you can't do that shit anymore. But, you know, the whole Jersey Shore back then was a weird, you know, little psychotic bunch of shit because, you know, you go into the fun house where you'd run through this thing that spun around and go in there and you were in the dark and it felt like you were walking in mud, but what they did was they had like tires cut up and like bolted to the floor where you'd step on them and squish like mud, and they had witches pop out and the floor would move and all kinds of other shit that might be considered mundane now, but it was fucking cool back then because it basically scared the shit out of you. You didn't know what was going next, you know, until you got out of there and you had all kinds of levels and stuff. Sort of like, I guess, a precursor to what they have around here. They got some kind of spook show called the 7 Levels of Hell or something, or 7 Floors of Hell. But yeah, that was all down there too. Trying to think of other weird. Oh, of course, then you had, you were driving down. I used to do, you know, you had a choice: the Englishtown Flea Market, where the road forked one way, or Raceway Park, nitro fuel injected funny cars. I can't do it really good, but you had that big fucking racetrack down there, you know, with drag racing and shit and other weird stuff. So, yeah, New Jersey had a lot of weird shit. They had one zoo in the middle of mid-Jersey called the Terry Lou Zoo, which, you know, was really pretty fucking cool, except that the day I went with my wife, it seemed like the animals didn't like me because I walked up to a llama pen and the llama just fucking hopped a loogie in my face, and it was something with a baby elephant throwing water, and all in all, I left the place wet and smelling like a fucking zoo. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there was any other interesting stuff. I mean, it was bouncing around. There was Wild West City up in Netcong, New Jersey. And actually, if I remember correctly, that Lee Van Cleef might have shown up there occasionally when he was coming home to visit his mother and do something. Or maybe, I know something connected him with that. You know, they basically have stagecoach robberies and, you know, Indians attack and all kinds of other shit, you know, for whatever. They'd have the saloon shootouts and things, but I don't even know if that's there anymore, because I remember somebody accidentally got killed when a real bullet hit somebody. Yeah, weird. Like I said, everything about that whole area is weird. They had a magic castle too, a fairy tale castle, and things like that. They opened up Turtleback Zoo in West Orange, the town where I lived, and you know, they had the big thing was the Galapagos tortoises, where these kids just basically beat those turtles to death trying to ride them. Really strange little zoo. They try to keep it going. I think it's a bigger attraction now, but of course, you know, they did things they said they would never do in that area, like cut into the reservation because it was pristine. But yeah, guess what? Fucking progress, and progress means knock out nature, which basically, I'm surprised most of Jersey isn't a big concrete and asphalt slab by now. But yeah, those are my fond memories of days of yesteryear where, you know, basically you can get away with just about anything, and these places pretty much did. So that's our episode for today. Till then, till the next time, stay safe, and we'll see you back then. Bye.